this is so cool. You guys are in here right now. Like before we started, I'm actually talking to people in the comments. And Aubrey, it's so good to see you. Camera Junkie, it's good to see you. Thanks for, being here today, even before time started. Like I wanted to get started just to hang out with you guys. And as you can tell, I have Mr. Brantley Teaches, Brantley Vinson right here on the stream show. How are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing good, man, until my mouse fell off my desk just now.
Oh, yeah? Yvette, good to see you. How are you doing?
There we go. Now I'm doing good.
Mr. Camera Junkie, I need to talk to Mr. Camera Junkie because he spent I don't know how long with Doc a couple of weeks ago, and would love to be able to hear some of the stories he has in his travels, even with his son. It had to be really cool. And again, hello to you, Aubrey. And everybody else is coming in, please hit the like button and hang out with us for a few minutes. Y'all know how we do it. Y'all know how we do it. Oh yeah, we're excited to hang out with y'all. So thank you for your willingness to hang out with me today. We're Brantley Vinson. We're talking about graphics before we get started, but Brantley, I actually made a mistake. I can't call it a mistake, but I went to the Apple store. I was trying to actually fix my MacBook Pro, and $200, but battery started to expand. I needed to fix it before the thing exploded on me. Ended up getting another M1 Mac Mini.
That's how they do you, man. You in the toy store, man, or the candy store.
It's definitely
you can't resist it, man.
It's definitely that, and I had a couple of friends that was in there, so when the friends come through, I'm not saying I wanted to buy it, but it just gave more of a reason to buy it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got that ball of pressure.
It's just a little bit.
We're in the Apple store now.
Strick got it. Strick, what you want? You want the studio? You should get the studio. No, just give me the Mac Mini. But now I get home, it's like, man, I really think I want to go get the studio. But
man, that stuff sells itself, man. Ain't no salespeople in there. They just kind of little babysitters in that store. They ain't got to do nothing.
Oh, they have a great time. Yeah. What do you want? All of these? Yes, I want everything on the wall. Mr. Camera Junkie does say he has stories. We want to hear them, sir. Yes, we do.
Yeah,
we want to hear the stories. But, of course, I'm not one for gas, but I do have certain times where I like to spend money, and I just have to, figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Let me get something, just steps, baby steps. I want to spend money, but it's easier to spend $50 than it is $500.
Yeah.
So
but you can mess around and spend that $50.
Lights, camera, action. Join the stream team and be a part of the streaming network. Our goal is to help you succeed.
I was not watching at all, the timer going down. But we have a great show coming up for you. And we're talking about the Mac Studio. They got me, DJ Strick. I understand my Mac, iMac 27-inch went out. I do understand. But she says she loves her studio. I may have to get the studio, trade the M1 for the studio. It may happen. That being said, y'all know what the show is about today. We're talking about the top 5 graphic mistakes with none other than Brantley Vinson. Brantley Teaches. He's here in the studio, and we're going to get right into it right now. If you haven't liked this, go ahead and do that as we get started. Listen, we went down the portal again to start the show. I just wasn't looking at the countdown at all, but that happens all the time for me.
Man, we always chatting it up, man, and going too far, and that timer catches us every time.
It does. So you are here for your monthly graphic meetings with DJ Strick, man. I appreciate you coming through to help all of us out. And it was Earl saying hello to you, doing your thing, man. So there are people coming just to kind of hang out, to learn from you today. Top 5 graphic mistakes. You know what? I'll say this. I had a graphic artist, so I used to do events in the city all the time. Of course, DJ, and I would do parties and events. And what happened was I had a graphic artist. My graphic artist matured, started doing some things, and didn't want to do graphics for me anymore. I mean, not just me, that they just kind of just grew
Yeah,
away
yeah, yeah.
from doing. They got a job, and the job was taking all that creative energy, so they wasn't doing a lot of freelance work. So guess what? Here I go. I'll do it myself because I'm like, man, I could do this, and I made all the mistakes you can possibly make. I mean, everything you could think of, I made the mistakes because I just didn't know. I tried my best to design like that person was designing because I really love, like they had a very clean look. Like the design, her name is Pam. Pam had a very clean look to her designs, and everything she sent me, I just absolutely loved.
Yeah.
And then I lost her. I had to do it
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, that happens, man. A lot of us are in that DIY position. And yeah. And, when we're talking about mistakes, anyway, they're not the top five, but I would say five of the most common.
Okay, 5 of the most
And this,
common.
yeah. And I'm going to relate it to the video creator realm in a
Okay,
general sense. Because sometimes as video creators, we tend to forget that design is still design
right.
and clean design is still design, and we have to take into account what clean graphics are and what clean design is. So yeah, but we're going to definitely talk about some of the five most common mistakes that are made or things that people ignore, rather a little bit of both of those when it comes
Okay.
to doing graphics in the video content creator world.
Well, help us
um,
out with it. What will we
yeah.
start first? Like, what are the first thing that you see? And I'm off screen now because I'm having an issue. We're live, and my camera is
Okay.
wanting to go off. But hey, we got
It's all
Bradley
good.
teaches, and you look good. So help me out here. First
We
thing
will
that
make
you
it
would
do what it
tell
do.
people.
Yeah, okay. You just be the little voice in the box here, but no, we'll
Exactly.
make it rock and roll. Well, you a DJ, man. You used to be in the voice anyway, so you
Anyway,
got that
that is
part
so
down. So,
true.
but yeah. So one of the first things, or one of the common things that I talk about is empty pixels are still pixels, and a lot of times we forget that. And I know it maybe seems generic or kind of high minded, but whatever graphic you make, even though you might see a circular graphic or an oval graphic or a graphic that's shaped like a star in its end format, they're always squares or rectangles. Every graphic you see has a border that is square or rectangular. I don't care what shape it is, the empty pixels are still pixels. And I think when we start doing designs and start making graphics and start making lower thirds and bugs and things like that, sometimes we forget that those empty pixels are still there. And when we try to place them on our screen and try to make it aesthetically pleasing within our layout, we can't because those empty pixels are blocking our way, if you know
All
what I
right.
mean, right?
Help me out with this when you say empty pixels.
Yeah. And so when you make a PNG file and the background is transparent,
Uh huh.
those pixels are empty. Nothing's in them. They're
Right.
see through,
Right.
but they're still pixels. So
Okay.
even though I have a round graphic, it's really square or rectangular
Right. Okay.
because every graphic you make is a rectangle or a square.
Right.
It just is what it is, right? And even though those pixels are empty, they're still there. And we have to think about those when we're doing design. So when you're making a lower third or a logo bug or some kind of icon, the placement of those empty pixels matter. Because when you try to place them into your video graphic and you have too many empty pixels in certain places around your graphic, you can't place that graphic where you want to. Now you're stuck with it in the middle of your screen, or you're stuck with it and you can't get it into the corner, or you can't get it all the way down to the bottom of your video screen because you have too many empty pixels around
I
it.
get it. I get it.
You see what I'm
So,
saying now?
so what I normally do is just take that those empty pixels and squeeze them all the way down. So to reduce the empty pixels, so I could border it to the top or the bottom. And that's what you're saying.
Exactly.
Because otherwise, if you have
Exactly.
those empty pixels there, it can never go all the way to the bottom because the square is stopping it.
Exactly.
That could
And
be
when
an easy
people do,
mistake.
and when people are usually making their graphics, they're thinking about, oh, I'm making this on the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, or I'm making this on the 1920 by 1080 rectangle, and I have this little thing I'm doing. but you don't consider where you need to place that on the screen.
Right.
And so that's a huge mistake when people are doing that.
She's
I
fangirling right
appreciate
now.
that, man. Appreciate that. And is that simply Aubs? Like,
Aubrey.
okay,
So
like for
simply
Aubrey. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It took
that's
me a
cool. I was
while
about
to
to say
figure
that.
out until I
Yeah,
met her, and she's super cool, man. I met her
yeah.
in
Yeah.
people video.
Well, she got to be cool, man. She likes my stuff, so she got to
There
be
you
cool.
go. There you
So
go.
shout out to you, Aubrey. Appreciate that. Now, and that's a simple mistake. It ain't like, oh, mind blown kind of mistake. But then another mistake that I think people make are with formatting, and
Okay.
formatting matters. I can't tell you how many times I'll show somebody how to do a lower third graphic or overlay graphic, and I'll get an email immediately that says, I did everything you said, and then I export, it's got a white background.
Oh
Oh, I
man,
did
yeah.
everything you said. And I'm like, no, if you did everything I said, it wouldn't have that white background, right?
Right.
But it's with formatting. And typically when you're doing graphics or animations for video, the main format you're going to be using is a PNG file, right? That's going to allow you to have transparency. JPEG is a higher resolution graphic, but it does not allow for transparency. And those empty pixels that I mentioned in the first mistake are going to be filled with something now,
Right.
some kind of odd background color.
Some
And
color,
so
black or white normally, right?
black, white, whatever color it was, right? Because even if you do something in Canva with the orange background, but you save it transparent, that orange background will leave the design, right?
Right.
But if you just save it as a JPEG, oh, I'm gonna use this in my video, you can have a big old orange rectangle behind your graphic, right?
Wow.
And so that's why formatting is important. Also, if you're gonna be doing animations, yes, you can do a GIF file. I call them GIFs, not GIFs. That's like a Christmas gift,
Gift.
not
Okay.
Jiffy peanut butter. That's why I say gift. That's my
Gotcha.
argument with it anyway. And so, yeah. And with that, if you're doing a animation that's a video, you want to use MOV format, Apple ProRes 4444. That
All
gives you
right,
transparency.
hold on one
Yep.
second because I
Mhm.
want to be sure people are getting this, and definitely shouts out to Earl. He's giving you a big shout out where he wouldn't know how to do animation in Keynote if it wasn't for you, Bradley. And I learned so much
Appreciate
from
that.
you, and I want to be sure that I'm staying on task with the information you're giving today. So first thing is you want to be sure when you're doing transparent background that the pixels that you have that are not there, you want to be sure you reduce them based on the
Yeah.
graphics that you have. And then number
Get as
two,
close to that graphic as possible. Crop it as close to the actual live graphic as possible. So now you have the freedom to move it around your screen. Now we're mostly talking here to the Ecamm fam. I'm
right?
not sure who's watching this on YouTube or in my group right now or around the interwebs and replayed later in the future. But we're talking about software that will let you make those kind of graphics and move them around. All software ain't created equal. And I'm not going
Right.
to speak on other live streaming software packages, but everything I'm telling you today works with Ecamm.
Works
So I'll
with
just say it
Ecamm.
that way, right?
So
And
no,
well,
no,
and
no.
actually, Ecamm will let you make some of those mistakes, right? About the empty pixels still being pixels.
Right.
Ecamm will let you drag even some of those empty pixels off your screen now, where
Yes,
that
they will.
edge doesn't have to bump up on the edge. And so it'll help you some, but it's still better for you to take charge of that graphic and build it right the first
The
time.
first
So
time. That definitely makes sense. And you're asking people, or you're telling them that like the mistake is the formatting or not formatting it correctly using a JPEG, which is not going to give you a transparent background. It needs to
right,
be a PNG file.
PNG file.
All
Yep.
right. And
Or if you're exporting video and you want that transparency, because y'all know that my ace tool that I use is Keynote,
right.
and so you want to make sure you're gonna have transparency in that. You have to export that as a movie file with Apple ProRes 4444 formatting, and then you just click the transparency box, and the transparency will show through.
Is that three
Um,
fours or four fours?
four
Four.
fours, four
Okay,
four
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 fours.
four. Yeah.
So I do a lot of editing inside of Premiere Pro, and of course,
Mhm.
the Apple ProRes 4444 is there. It does it have to be like in sometimes I see it where it says Alpha. Was that
The
Alpha
Alpha channel. Yeah.
ProRes, the Alpha channel ProRes 4444? But with Keynote, you don't have to do the Alpha. It's just ProRes, correct?
Right. Right. Because it's built in. The Alpha channel, it creates that Alpha channel for you if you have the transparency there and it holds it for you. So
Got you.
saving it in that format says, okay, I'm going to add that Alpha channel to keep it open. If it's not Apple ProRes 4444, it's not going to have that Alpha channel automatically.
I
So
get it.
that's part of the processing of the Apple ProRes. Um, right? They agree with me saying GIF and not GIF.
There you go.
But I think officially, and I always have to do full disclosure. The WWW, World Wide Web Consortium, those nerdy guys that create all the coding and stuff for the web and that conglomerate, I think they officially do call it GIF. I don't know why, because they just pronounce it wrong, but I don't care. But I think honestly the official name is GIF, but I call them GIFs because of how it's spelled.
I
And
think I
so,
call it gifts too. I'm
yeah,
not really sure. That's just where I've heard it. I mean,
yeah,
if it's me, I may just say, "Do you have a GIF?"
right,
I don't know. Hey, whatever it takes. Earl is
yeah.
subscribing to me. I appreciate you, sir. And if you haven't subscribed to the ECAM channel, subscribe there as well. But if you're subscribing to my channel, it's for a win. Did you get the new handle for YouTube?
I
Did you
got
do that by the way?
I got the email for it, which said I automatically had a handle, but when I went to lock it in, technology, man, it kind of freaked out on me. So I said, okay, I'll wait till later, and I'll circle back around to it. But yeah, but they've been they'll automatically give you one based on your channel name, but you can go change it later and stuff like that. So I'm hoping there's no other Brantley teachers out there trying to take my name, but I'll circle back around to it next week and see if they'll let me in. Because
I
I got the
definitely
email saying that I was in, but
got you.
then some kind of weird thing.
I'm sorry, I just threw that in for everybody else in
Yeah.
ECAM that may not have something so unique. I went and got DJ Strick, so youtube.com/@DJ Strick, you can always find me. That being said, we're talking about make sure you crop your logo or crop whatever you're doing. And this is for videos, graphics for
Right.
videos, PNG file or GIF, Apple ProRes 444, and what's the next one for us?
Okay, so now that we're out of some of that kind of high-minded conceptual stuff, let's get to more nitty-gritty. And my next problem or error or mistake I think people make, I call it the less is more error, right?
Okay, less is
And
more.
I think I talk about this a lot almost every time I come on here, is that content is king.
Right,
And I'm a graphics guy, but any graphics you're going to use in your video needs to support what you're doing and complement what you're doing. It cannot take over what you're doing because you got stuff jumping all over the screen, stuff flying in and exploding, and
right,
no, less is more. Because even that you and I are sitting here now talking about graphics, and all the action for both of us is right here,
right,
eyes and mouth.
right.
That's where the content is coming from. So we can add the DJ Strict and the Bradley, upper thirds or lower thirds, or add in a little graphic here with a link in it. But that's all complementary to the content.
Right.
And I think when we start adding too much stuff and too much pizzazz to our videos, we're trying to hide that our content can't keep people's attention.
Ooh, stop. You can stop
Right.
right there, brother. You can just put a pause in it right there. We all like pizzazz, and some of us are, how you want to say, we like smoke and mirrors, and we like doing this and doing that. Or I want to show you my new technique. I want to show you I can do this, I can do that.
Right.
But you're saying that those things are just hiding, potentially could be hiding your lack of good content.
Exactly.
Wow.
Because, if people come to me to help them do graphics, they come to me because I'm teaching them something.
Right.
But that the whole time I'm teaching them, I got graphics jumping across the screen and move. It's a distraction.
Right.
And I teach graphics. And actually, right now, talking about distractions, I talk with my hands too.
All the time. So do
But
I.
that's what's so bad when I do interviews because my hands not on my mouse and I'm not teaching. I'm doing this with my hands instead, right?
Right. Right.
And so I'm like mesmerizing people with all my hand motions. But but that's the thing. It's like you can't let the graphics, even if you're a graphics person like me and you're teaching graphics, you still can't let the graphics take over the content.
Right.
Now, aesthetically pleasing, something that's nice and that's gonna bring attention. So it's like the link you kept popping up while I was talking, right?
Right.
That's you use that, less is more, because I don't have to keep saying, oh, visit this link, right? At some point, it's just there. It's simple. It's clean. People will go to it. They'll use it. You don't have to keep beating people over the head with it. It doesn't have to be flashing.
Right.
Doesn't have to move back and forth across the screen, right? And so those kind of things, my Brantley bubble, as I call it, it's a little simple graphic that has my hashtag, that has my Cash App and my Facebook page and my YouTube channel, but it just sits in the corner. I never say follow me. I never say, hey, if you like what I'm doing, drop by my cat. I never say none of that. It's just right there on the screen, and it's complimenting what I'm saying. And so if you like what I'm saying, where the content is coming from right here,
Right.
and it's like, oh, wait a minute, and he has a Cash App. Bam. Complimenting to what I'm saying. You want to give, there's a way to give. I ain't even got to tell you, right? And so I think the less is more will take people a lot further. So when people see your graphics, they're more inclined to pay attention to them, where it's not overkill. Stuff is always happening. The next problem, issue, mistake I think people make goes right in line with that. And it's something that's tried and true. I'm going to say it over and over again as long as I'm teaching people about graphics. I call it color and font confusion. That's a huge mistake that a lot of people make, and they don't even realize they're doing it. But it goes right along with this less is more, right? Right now, I didn't even tell you this. You did it on your own. When you said, hey, man, I want to add your web address. I told you the web address, and miraculously, you didn't put it in a script font.
I didn't.
Right? You put it in a font that people can read.
Exactly.
Even on their phone, people can read that right now.
Right.
If you did it in a script font, cursive, look like handwriting, they'd be like, what does that even say? And I think a lot of people ignore the other cues from other people that are doing videos well, or even social media that does a lot of content well. You can go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, all that stuff, and all the default fonts on all those pages are sans serif. You got to do something special to make it not be sans serif, right?
Gotcha.
And I'm gonna keep preaching this till the cows come home, as they say.
I love it.
But text is meant to be red,
Right.
READ, red, not RED in color red. But sometimes that can be color confusion too, right? We can use colors to enhance design instead of doing crazy fonts. Now, the crazier the font, the larger it needs to be. So if you're just stuck on doing crazy fonts, do them. Don't use them in a lower third. Don't use it as body copy or when somebody leaves a comment and you want to bring the comment on screen like you can in Ecamm.
Right.
Don't use script fonts for that, right? Use sans serif because you want people to be able to read the comments on their phone, right? So use the fonts that are being used by all these other online and social media websites.
I think that's what you told me the last time we talked. Like if you're seeing where Instagram, the font that Instagram and Facebook is using, why they use that, people are familiar with that font already, why not duplicate it?
Right. And it's the same thing, right? Why are you doing overkill if all you want to do is tell somebody to visit a website?
Wow.
Why must it be script and hard to, even if your thing is I'm a handwriting coach. So you're showing people how to handwrite letters, right?
Right.
And you got the overhead camera and you're writing in script and it's all fancy. That's cool. But when you're giving people instructions about how to make an S curve, put that in sans serif so they can read it.
Right.
Right? It's the it's like you can go too far with these themes. Make your logo bug a sans serif font, BT in bold letters for Brantley teaches. I don't have to spell it out with script, right? And
Right.
so those kind of things. So that those are kind of like the top 4-ish mistakes I see people make. And frankly, after I said all that, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make as
All
far
right,
as
hold on
graphics.
before you
Yeah,
do that. I want to almost there. Business Growth Ready says I say the same thing to my web clients. If you have loads of graphics to stand out, nothing stands out because it's so much there. Less is more. I call it the clean look. Like you want to have clean flyers, you want to have a clean website, you
right,
want to have a clean whatever advertisements you may have. And if we're talking about video, you want to have a clean stream. Like this, you want to build it so just like you're saying that what the content is coming from, people can see it.
right.
There's nothing standing in your way. Now, I do have, of course, the TV on my shoulder over here. That's just another way to have a little background to have me stand out. But at the same time, guess what? You're still looking at me. So
Right.
I get it. I get it.
And
That's
the
all good
background
stuff.
is blurred. Everything that we're looking at right now is not in focus.
Right.
You are, which means I'm important.
Right.
You're saying my background is awesome and cool because it looked like I'm almost in a TV station that people are kind of, right? But it's faded in the background.
Right.
And even if my eyes glance over there, it's blurry. So that still brings me right back to you.
Right, because there's not enough
'Cause
information for your
Right,
brain to say, okay, what's going on there? Let me
right,
now focus. I get it.
right.
That's
And
good stuff.
so And probably the one of the last things I tell people, and I've been talking a lot about graphics, and I say graphics and branding almost go hand in hand, kind
Right.
of thing, um, is that one of the biggest mistakes I think people make in their video content is not branding at all.
Wow.
Jumping on the video with nothing that's signature you. That's probably the biggest mistake of all. Yeah. So when you get around to making your logo bug, make sure it's cropped right and make sure it's the right format and make sure it's the right color and don't use too many graphics. But you got to put something on screen with you to brand yourself, to identify you. Like right now, I'm using a physical graphic right now and I have it on my shirt and stuff like that. And I actually look like my logo, right? So all those things are part of my branding, but I brand. I don't just show up and I got bare walls behind me. I don't have any lower thirds. I don't never say anything. I don't have any kind of graphics to complement what I'm saying. Even if it's like, okay, these are the 5 points I'm making today. Put it as text on the screen.
I
And now
like that.
you're known as the 5 points person,
Right.
right? And put them in your brand color or put them in a box. That's your brand color. Because one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is not branding at all. If your content is amazing, and I know it is, and you spend a lot of time on it, you want it to be memorable past the content. And I want to say this real quick because in branding, there's sneaky ways to do branding and sneaky ways to get you out there and more noticeable. Like right now, if I'm sitting here and I'm talking about, hey, here are the 5 things you have to do to brand your thing. Bam, 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 bam. And they're on screen next to me in my brand colors with my Brantley Teachers logo on it. Then I'll say, hey, screen capture this so y'all can have it for later. So now they screen capture that and they basically have a Brantley Teachers flyer and a
Wow.
Brantley Teachers graphic to add to their Facebook channel for all their buddies and something they can tweet. But it has my branding all over it.
I love
Or
it.
they print it out, and every time they look at it, they're looking at my face, my logo. That's the guy that told me those 5 points. Because how many times have you been to a live event even, and you're sitting there taking pictures of that person's slides? You get them home, and that presenter's name ain't nowhere on them slides.
Wow.
I just came from a conference that was for video marketing.
Right.
and it had several speakers every day. And I can go through and look at screenshots from some of the presentations that I'm like, oh, that's a cool point. Oh, that's a cool point. And to me right now, they're just slides with graphics and words on them. I couldn't pull the speaker out of a lineup.
Because
And that's at a video marketing your video, presentation.
wow.
And
I mean,
it's
all of
just
that makes a lot of sense, and just have never thought about that. And I'm still having camera issues over here, so no big deal on my end.
yeah.
That
So
being
we gonna make
said,
sure to do, man.
yeah, that being said, you make a good point as you were talking, and I thought about number one, you provide a lot of value to the community. Brantley
Appreciate
teaches. Bradley, you have a group, Facebook group. You have been in eCam teaching Keynote, so it's a lot of value. But the branding out of what you've done with Bradley Teaches, all right, is your name and what you do.
Right.
You teach graphics. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you can dive down into teaching all type of graphics, and then you drill down to teaching how to do it in Keynote.
Right.
But as I'm thinking about all of it, people gravitated towards you, number one, because you were giving great value, but I think they could resonate with you because of the branding, because they can identify with you. They can identify with the logo. Even now, when I used the thumbnail for this particular show, I didn't use your face. I used your logo thumbnail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Graphics to be able, and
Yeah.
everybody knows that's Bradley.
Yeah, and it's the funniest thing. A little side story with that. It was part of me being lazy where I created the little graphic face. The little
Tell
cartoon
me,
guy.
how would you that's not easy to do.
Well, and that's what's funny, man. I tell you, I simplify. I do basic, right?
Okay.
My logo head that I use for Bradley Teaches, I made it in my phone
No
with
way.
an app that's built into my phone. But all I did was I really took the time to make it look like me.
Okay.
Okay, I got little wrinkles under my. I'm sitting there when I'm building my little character. I'm like, no, I want this dude to look like me, not a generic brown dude, kind of thing. As close as the built-in app could do it, right?
Right.
So I did all that, and I'm starting up a YouTube channel at the time. And you know how YouTube is. Oh, everybody got the smiling face and the grumpy face and the blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't want, and I wanted to practice what I preach.
Right.
Just hit record. Just hit go live. And I don't want to do anything that was going to hinder me from making content.
Right.
So thumbnails. Everybody got to take 50 pictures of all these different expressions with thumbnails. My little emoji head don't never have to shave. My little emoji head,
But you
always
do have multiple emoji heads, though.
Yes.
I have seen another one where
yes.
like
Well,
look.
Yeah. Well, because the built into the phone, no, I can make those faces into my phone. It gives me back the cartoon emoji head for me making the face. Then I screen capture it, bring it into my graphics app, enhance it a little bit, put the little stroke around it, put my logo on his baseball cap. So I make all those faces for my cartoon guy to mimic. And now I don't have to take those pictures. My emoji head guy is always ready. His goatee is always tight.
Right.
Ready to go, right?
That makes a lot of sense.
And so that's how I made all my thumbnails, because I wanted to practice what I preach. I keep telling people, okay, don't let perfection keep you from going live and recording. And I knew that was going to be my hang up, because I didn't want to take all the pictures of my face and pose and all that. I let my emoji do that posing. And so I did that. And once I created that guy, the ball kind of started rolling down the hill without me. And I said, okay, well, let me go ahead and make an icon based on that little emoji head, and go ahead and, that's how I got my logo back here. That's my branding logo now. That's the emoji head as a silhouetted graphic. But then I put my glasses on it to stand out over that silhouette, right?
Right.
So that's the same emoji head that you see in all my cartoons without the baseball cap. But then the glasses are just the glasses I place on it just to set that head off the background. And so the head is the exact same emoji head. I just vectorized it and put glasses on it. And so it's that kind of thing where, and so now you rarely see the words Brantley teaches now.
Gotcha. Because you can see the
see my
logo.
little dude. Yeah, you see the logo, and it's just recognizable. It's simple. It works, and I love it. And some people are like, "Hey, no, YouTube banners are better when you put your real face on it." Do it like, but that's just my thing now. And so sometimes when people say, "Hey, we want you on our show," send us a profile pic. I'll send them the cartoon. And they're like, "Well, we want a real picture of you." That's okay. Well, you can have a real picture too. I said, but the Bradley Teaches brand is the cartoon guy.
Right.
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 And so, but they see me and all, I mean, I never come on camera with the, what's the little snap cam that can make you a cartoon? I never do stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm never the cartoon guy on video.
Right.
So I'm always me, but the branding and the logo, it's just easier for me that way. I don't have to worry about, is the lighting right for the pictures, and am I doing this? Is it in focus? And
I think it's
my
a great
head,
idea. I mean, and we all have the technology. Of course, I'm familiar with, I have it, and I would send those emojis to people as a response in a text message, but I never thought about downloading that. And for you to be able to download that, so you would vector it to be sure you have the right, because I would think the quality would be low, but if you put it in as a vector, now you're able to kind of do what you need to do with it to use it in other formats. That's really creative. That's really creative.
And that's what I do. I like to tinker with stuff that was intended for one thing and try to make it do something else. That's what I did with Keynote, right? Keynote is made for presentations. But I jumped in that bad boy like, you know what, let's make Keynote do some stuff it ain't made to do.
Wow.
And that's how I tinker with stuff, man. I do that with mechanical stuff. I do it with graphic stuff. So, but I love to hear from the audience what kind of errors or things they have seen or they think they may have that they would like to work through, kind of thing. Because I love kind of bowling down their alley. What kind of stuff are you struggling with?
I like that.
Or how many of these errors have you made? Or do you see them as errors, right? Push back. If you don't see these as errors, let me know.
As people are typing in some of the errors that they're making, go ahead. It doesn't matter. I've made all the mistakes you can possibly make with graphics, and I'm making some mistakes today with my camera going off, and I have no idea why it's doing that, but we're going to do this anyway. I want you to see this. I'm pulling up Brantley now, and you see BrantleyTeaches.com /SS for the stream show. If you go to this site, he's actually going to be reaching out to you to help you with your graphics. So while you're typing it in, Brantley, can you talk a little bit more about what you're planning to do to help people with their graphics?
Yeah, I mean, I love the teaching format, and I know that I've done a lot of tutorials showing people how to do different things, but my desire is to empower people to create. And so what I'm looking at doing is I'm going to create a membership where we're going to work through whatever projects you're working on. And we're going to meet in a group format, and you might be having issues with your lower thirds or your overlays and things. Somebody else might be trying to figure out what the right color scheme is to fit their brand or even make a brand logo. And we're going to work through those things as a group and just workshop them. I call it being in the lab, because I remember I would be in the eCam group for 2 or 3 weeks, then I would disappear for 2 or 3 days, and I would come back with something cool. And I would always call that being in the lab, because I like experimenting and doing things. But I want to open that up for more people to be in the lab with me. And so we can kind of create things together. And, I can show you how to make all kinds of lower thirds, but what lower third do you want to make? What lower third do you think works best for your branding, what lower third or overlay works best for what you're trying to give your audience. And that's what that group is going to be about. We're looking at maybe starting it up next month. I don't even have what the name of it's going to be and all that kind of stuff. But I want to meet with you guys in a live format. We're going to meet up. We're going to screen share with each other. We're going to be like, hey, Brad, this is what I'm working on. Okay, turn on your screen share. And we're going to work on it right then and get that knocked out for you, whatever you're working on that week, whatever hindrances or hangups you got. And we're going to do that on a weekly basis, pending holidays and stuff like that. But yeah, I just want to get in the mix with you guys in that kind of format and not do hypotheticals and not do a rectangular lower third. No, you want to do a round lower third, or you're trying to do this, or you're trying to do a sidebar. Let's work on the stuff that you're trying to do. And I think this is the perfect format to do that in a live group scenario. And we're going to hot seat it. We're going to love on each other. We're going to give some tough love, which is still love. And we're going to work through projects that are going to help improve what you're doing for what you're trying to give to your audience. So if you guys are interested in something like that and jumping in the lab and experimenting and working through some things with me, now sometimes the answer might be, we can't do that in Keynote. But you know what? Let's try to find out something as close to that as possible, right? And so that's what the lab is all about. And so we're going to meet up on a weekly basis to make that happen. But if you're interested in that, please drop by this link, fill out the real simple form, get you on my mailing list so we don't lose contact with each other. And I'm going to send you some goodies a little bit down the road here, but then talk more about the group and some other things I got going on. So that's what that's all about.
I like it. So definitely check it out. We've already had Aubrey's already signed up, so that's great.
Appreciate it.
Do have Christian here. He says his issue is perfection. I see windows not aligned, color combinations, etc. Looking forward to your class. Can you help people out when that is a issue? It's got to be right.
Well, the thing about it, I think some of that, now if you send it with other people's stuff or your own, because what's so funny, I've been a multimedia designer so long, and we've been married so long. My wife and I will be sitting watching commercials or looking through a magazine, and she'll start pointing out graphics mistakes. It's the funniest thing. Right. And so because she's just been around me so long, right? And so as you do these things, you're going to see stuff that doesn't quite sit right with you in other things, but you can't let that be a burden for you to create because you can't control that, right? So it's good to have that design eye, but let it go for other folks. Okay, so it's with your stuff. So here's one of the best ways to do that. I'm not sure if you've seen any of my other stuff before, but I call it the secret weapon graphic.
Okay.
And basically all it is a screen share of you on screen. So I take a screen share of me on screen right now. And then you use the tools to help you align stuff, get your schematic together, and all those kind of things like that. Now, another thing I want to tell you about perfection procrastination or perfection paralysis. Everything beta. Everything is beta. So that means you can get it out there today and prove it tomorrow. Make your first 100 bad videos with your text not aligned, not quite as big as you wanted it, not quite the right color that you wanted it. Make your first 100 bad videos.
I like that.
But try to improve a little bit all the time. Figure out ways to help you make alignments and build schematics and things. The secret weapon graphic will help with that a lot because you're designing it and putting it together before you use it in your video versus putting it in your video, tinkering, getting upset about it and saying, whatever, and just doing it, right? The secret weapon graphic can alleviate a lot of that struggle and a lot of that, tweak. You do it pre-design, right?
Uh-huh.
And then when you place it, it's locked in because you built it knowing exactly what your screen looks like.
Okay.
When you build your graphics and then put them in blindly, and it's like, that covers up the left side of my face. You could have figured that out in design phase if you use a secret weapon graphic. And then just get a little bit better as you go.
I like that. So definitely great advice. And we have another already signed up. I created my logo and working on logo and focusing on the camera on me, like you suggested last week. So
Yeah.
definitely good stuff.
Now, Yvette, I haven't watched any of Yvette's videos, but I'm guessing she teaches people how to do something
Okay,
musically inclined, because her curtain is a keyboard.
got you.
And I think she sits at a keyboard. So I think she teaches music classes. And I
Hmm.
remember mentioning this in another thing. It's like you want to have separation from your background.
Right.
And that's a very simple thing you can do in camera. I try to do everything as practical as I can. I don't use the blur the background filter in Zoom, and I don't use a blur the background filter in Ecamm. I try to do that practically with my camera. And so
Right.
sometimes that's just a lens change, right? Or the autofocus, changing your depth of field, just getting further away from that curtain or whatever that background is, right? And so try to do as many things as you can practically too. So you're not doing a bunch of tinkering, which also creates that perfection paralysis because you're trying to tweak it in the computer and let me turn the dial a little bit to the right and try to do as many things practically as you can.
So she
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
teach anymore,
Okay.
but she
She
does
creates
play and
music.
create music. So,
Cool. Okay, cool. And there's another gentleman. I'm terrible with names. He's in another group with me, and he does like a inspirational and gospel songs. And so he just gets online and plays his keyboard and sings to
he
people.
does. Uh-huh.
And
And I forget his name off top. It's
yeah,
on the top of my tongue, tip of my
yeah,
tongue.
wonderful voice, excellent pianist or keyboardist, if
Uh-huh.
I'm using the right or wrong term with that. But that's what he does. And I think it'll be beautiful, Miss Yvette. I mean, yeah, just get on there and create music, let people see behind the scenes what you're doing. Um, I think that's cool. I'm
I
not a
got
musician, but I was like, man, I love to do some soundtracks because I love movies.
got you.
And I think creating soundtracks movies would be a cool little thing to do. But there you go,
I
David Hunt.
got an
I knew
idea
them
for you.
artists knew each other. Yeah, them artists know each other, man. That's
Got an
him, David
idea
Hunt.
for you. How about you call them the Bradley Bunch?
There you go.
Huh? That's
But
very
you got to be of
creative.
a certain age to even know what that's a reference to.
Yes, yeah,
I dig
and
that.
she's right.
I
It's
dig
David
that.
Hunt. David Hunt is
Yeah,
that guy we're talking about. Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
He's really, really good. And Business Growth Ready says that he's still in alpha. His videos 101, beta 0.1. I get it. I get it.
yeah.
There you go. So there are
It's all
people that
good.
are
Yeah,
resonating with this, and I want to throw it up again. So bradleyteaches.com/SS for the stream show, and it's a nice little landing page there that you can go fill it out. So when Bradley is doing these meetings, guess what? You could be in the know and figure it all out together. It is the small things that you do. I like the growth. Okay, so think about it from a camera situation. We all tell you that the best camera that you could use is the one you already have. There's no need for you to buy a $5,000 camera for your streaming setup right now.
right,
There's no need. To be honest with you, you wouldn't know how to work the $5,000 camera enough to make it beneficial for you. I'm not saying
right,
that you can't. I'm not saying that is definitely something that you could grow to. You use the 700, 800, $1,000 camera that you can grow to. The webcam, as you're growing, these are all options for you so
right.
that you can actually grow. Now, Brady, I know that you were using a Canon T2
Yep.
uh,
T2I.
T2I for the longest, building a community. People resonated with you, and you were using a T2I. That is
Yep.
unbelievable when people talk about, hey, I need all of this technology or I want to grow. I mean, definitely a cinema camera could be overkill. You look great, but you will be focusing on something that is not beneficial for you because content
Right.
is better than all the other stuff.
And the thing about it, and that leads back to the content, right? If I waited until I have the camera I have now and the mic I have now and the mixer I have now, I got an overhead cam now that I use that's more expensive than what used to be my main camera.
Wow.
But it's crazy, right? But I imagine right now if I let my perfection paralysis take over me like it used to,
Right.
there would be no Brantley teachers right now.
Got it.
There would be no Brantley teachers. Now, I might have done a couple of videos with that. I'd been that old guy doing that, with, in the T-shirt like I used to have, and, be like, okay, cool with y'all, stuff like that.
Right.
But it's like, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for the webcam or the built-in iCam that was in my laptop. I was like, I'm fulfilling a need. People like it. I can do this. Right. And what was so crazy, somebody told me the other day, if you put me on Jeopardy and it was a row of questions about making graphics with Keynote, nobody in this world could answer those questions better than I could.
Okay.
I'd get that whole row. You can't beat me with that.
Okay.
And I leaned on that as in, no, I'm the Keynote dude. You can talk about Keynote, but I'm the Keynote dude.
I like it.
And you ain't beating me at that. And so I just brought that in. No matter how I look, no matter how bad my lighting is or whatever else, you put that mouse in my hand and you open up Keynote, you ain't got nothing on me. And I had to lean on that. And I improved my audio later. I improved my video later. I bought another Mac and I did this. And, I got an overhead cam now when I do things on my drawing tab and all that.
Built over time.
Over time you build it, And yeah, I bought a bunch of junk. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna say I did it all perfect. I bought a bunch of junk I couldn't use. And I had a little bit of perfectionist in me. And especially once I really started, and right. I got the name and all that. Oh, I got to have the good stuff now. But it was like, wait a minute. What got me here? The content got me here and serving got me here, which is never going to change. So let's just change the aesthetics as we go. Let me get an embroidered polo shirt. Let me improve my mic. Let me get the proper lighting. Because I call it I'm a pigment intense, brother. So I had to get the right kind of lighting, right?
That's a good way to say it, pigment intense.
And so I had to get the right kind of lighting for that and know that I can't wear a white T-shirt because then the contrast will throw me off and you won't be able to see me. And so, but all those things I learned as I grew with my content. My content is just as good day one with that T-shirt and Canon 2 Ti as it is today. But just the production quality got a little bit better. But the content has always been top, right? So believe in your content and get it out there. Make the first 100 bad videos and leave them so you know where you came from. Leave them out there so you know where they came from.
So I've definitely done that all the way back to 2007 videos. And I'm like, I can't believe that the video looks like that. Hey, but it is what it is. That being said, Michelle, I definitely want to say hello to you. Thank you for coming by tonight. We talked about the top 5 graphic mistakes you could use. And then Brantley just encouraged us and also talked about BrantleyTeaches.com/SS, where you can go and actually join one of his groups, get all the details about what he's doing. And he's actually building a group to be able to help people in a clinic, in a group, to be able to have better graphics. Brantley, thank you for coming through. It's kind of like every month now, I'm having him on to kind of encourage you guys and talk more about graphic tips so you can see the stream show on eCam Live's YouTube channel and then learn from my man, Brantley Vinson and Brantley Teaches. It's been awesome. Anything you want to say before you get out today?
Man, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think since we got this little monthly thing going on, the next time the stream DJ Strick brings you onto the stream show, let's do some hot seats and stuff, man. I really want to help people work with their graphics. So we need to figure out a form or something. We'll figure all that out. But let you guys submit your graphics of a screen capture of what you're working on, and we're gonna go through the show live, talking about how to improve what you're doing. Give you guys some pats on the back if you're doing something really. Now, this is just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. I always got to say that because, somebody else is trash, another man's treasure. Some people like pink. Some people don't like pink, whatever it is. Right. And so if you're willing to kind of jump in and get a hot seat and let's work through some graphics live, I think that's a great kind of maybe next show or show after the next show kind of thing we can do. So if you guys are interested in something like that, I think it'd be cool to do that and kind of just bowl down your alleys and see what you're working on. Help y'all get out of this perfection paralysis. Send us your graphics, and it's like, this is what I would do to change that. This is what I would, okay, Simply Obs is in, so it's like, I think that's part of the family building and stuff too, man. Let's just, yeah. I mean, and I can talk to you about that offline. It's very easy. Now it's higher end software that you need to vectorize stuff, right? I use Illustrator. There's some things there's different apps online that are automatically make vectors. There's some companies that provide that service. So there's multiple ways to do it.
On our ending, just to kind of add this on our way out, do you think using a software like Canva and just making the dimensions huge would work as well?
You can't. Sizing down is always better than sizing up.
I get it.
Right? You always want to do something bigger than what you needed, especially if it's not vector. Gotcha. Vector doesn't care because vector is drawn with math. Right,
so it can be any size, and because it can stretch at this point and not lose any of the quality once you do vector. So if I take it and then make the logo like 3,000 by 3,000, I'm making it huge so that I can shrink it, but that's not always going to be the best outcome, is what you're saying.
Right. Well, when you're doing a raster graphic like PNG, JPEG, those are raster, and then vectors like EPS, things like that, right?
Right.
When you're doing a raster graphic, it's literally drawn with pixels, little dots or little squares. So when you blow that up or you zoom in, you can actually see the stair steps. It's drawn with pixels. So those kind of graphics, you want to use them bigger. You want to make them bigger and size them down, or make them the exact size you want to use it.
Gotcha.
A vector graphic don't care.
It doesn't care.
Right? And so, you can make it bigger than you need it and always size it down if it's raster. If it's vector, you can make it the size of your thumbnail and blow it up and put it on the side of a building. It's going to look the same.
I love it.
So raster is what you got to really watch when you're doing it with raster.
Well, Brantley, we have to do it again next month, because if we tell them any more today, we're going to have to charge them for it. Okay. Hey, Ben, I really do appreciate you. This has been awesome. So next time, guys, please remember, we're saying I would do some promotions the next time he comes on up into the week, so you'll know to actually submit your graphics, and nobody is taking anybody down. Like, you guys are doing great graphics, but if there's some detail that Bradley could give us to take it to the next level,
little tweaks.
There you go, some little tweaks to help you take it to the next level. We want to do that in the very nicest way that we absolutely can. It's kind of like when we were doing Vlogmas with Alicio. We didn't break anybody down. We got a chance to see the video, and we just give some great tips and keep going. So that is an opportunity for you. Next time we have Brantley teach us on this stream show. Hey, guys, thank you so very much for hanging out with us. And I will see you not next Sunday, but the Sunday after, November 30th. I have Justin Brown coming to the show from Primal Video. Don't tell anybody he's coming, okay? Let's keep that between me and you. All right, guys. I'll see you.
Hey, this is DJ Strick, and I would like to thank you for watching another edition of The Stream Show.